Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Solution Spotlight. I'm going to give it a couple more ticks before we officially get going. So, Chris, did you go to Florida as well for Thanksgiving, or what did you do for Thanksgiving specifically?
Yeah, no, I just had a staycation in Arizona. It was gorgeous. It was a sunny day. It was beautiful. We went to this buffet I didn't want to cook this year. I smoked a turkey last year. I cooked everything last year, and my wife came to me and she's like, "What are we doing?" And I'm like, "I'm not cooking." So she booked this really fancy buffet. It was amazing. It had everything, the oysters to prime rib. Yeah, it was a lot.
Oh my God, that sounds like my
Nice.
ideal Thanksgiving.
Mhm. It was great. It was.
Yeah, I'll have to remember that for next year.
Mhm.
We had, yeah, family over and we spatchcocked our turkey and it was just a small little bird, but traditional meal, all good vibes. But
Mhm.
I don't want to cook again. So I'll remember
Next
that.
year. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, cooking needs a break every year. You got to do it every other year.
Right. Yep. Well, cool. I will get us started and get the webinar moving. So welcome, everybody, to today's Solution Spotlight. Work less and serve more AI-driven efficiency for financial advisors with GReminders. My name is Sarah Williams, and I am XYPN's Senior Partnerships Operations Manager. And joining me today are Christopher Gonzalez, Senior Partner Relationship Manager at GReminders, and Alan Gibson, founder of Gibson Wealth Advisors and an XYPN member. Now, today's webinar will help you unpack how you can leverage automation and AI to reduce manual work, enhance client relationships, and just take back control of your time because time is one of our most precious commodities these days and really intangible. So, yeah, anything that we can do to just lighten your load and get you something to free up your time so that you can spend it doing the things that you want to do, serving your clients, spending time at home, enjoying Thanksgiving dinner or the holidays, anything, everything to just help you find those pockets that you can leverage and utilize. Now, before I turn it over to Chris and Alan, just a couple of housekeeping items from the XYPN side. We are going to have a Q&A during this presentation. So down below, there is that Q&A tab. As you have questions come up throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them in that Q&A. And then if it's really pressing or relevant to the topic, I'll interrupt Chris and Alan in the presentation. Otherwise, we will wait until the end of the presentation to answer any Q&A. And then December is officially in full swing. Oh my God, that's crazy to me. And we only have two more virtual sessions for you guys to all join, if you're not an XYPN member. So, December 10th, there is going to be a session hosted by XYPN's VIP or VP of Sapphire, Taylor Hain. She is also a VIP, but it is planning your big move in 2026, transitioning from a BD to a fee-only corporate REA. And this session is really for anyone who is thinking about breaking away from their broker dealer and is just curious about being fee only. I I can appreciate how vulnerable that move is, how risky that move might feel. And so we'd love to give you more insight. And if you're thinking about going fee only in 2026, this webinar will be very relevant for you. I'll drop the registration link in the tab below, so you'll be able to register if you're interested. And then the second webinar that we are hosting is Myth versus Math, what it actually takes to scale an advice-centric firm. That is happening December 17th, and Alan Moore, XYPN's founder, Jeff Levine, and then Michael Kitsis, the man himself, they're all going to be together hosting this. And together, they'll connect research, operational experience, and then tax regulatory insight to explore this myth versus math. What actually contributes to the long-term profitable growth in advice-centric firms. This is a very special session and it's going to go to in the pros it is going to be a paid session because the proceeds will go to one of our own team members, Julia Lautner, who previously passed away just last month. So all those proceeds will be donated to her family, and we would appreciate if you're able to join, but no pressure at all there. And then last but not least, we are going to San Diego XYPN Live in 2026. So you can also register and grab your pass in a link that I will share with you as well. All right, Chris, Allen, I am done with my with my forward, so I will kick it off to you.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for the introductions. And again, thank you, Alan Gibson, for joining us with Gibson Wealth Advisors. Alan and I have a number of things we want to talk about and go through with you guys. But I want to take a step back real quick and talk a little bit about what GReminders is and what we do. I mean, we clearly do reminding, right? So I want to talk through everything that we offer just quickly, and then Alan and I will kind of branch into all different topics around what has driven the efficiency, how GReminders has helped him accomplish just saving time around a number of different processes around the meeting management side of things. Now, GReminders at our core, what we do is we help schedule, we help connect the calendars from a number of different softwares, a number of different team members' calendars. We send automated reminders and we notate. That's kind of us in a nutshell, right? Now, it's kind of difficult to do something like that without diving into one industry, right? And when we started to work more to the wealth tech side, we started to notice, hey, we're actually able to save these guys a ton of time. And so we started around 2022. We decided that, hey, a lot of our partners, a lot of our customers are kind of leaning and pushing us towards more development around financial advising and the things that they need specifically for meeting management. And so in 2022, what we started to notice, because we weren't really in wealth tech too much in the early 2020s. And so when we saw this survey, we started to realize, oh, let's skip a slide here, sorry. We started to realize, hey, we can help. We can bring this client correspondence down quite a bit. We can bring client check-ins down a ton. Meeting prep, we can help with. And so when we saw this, which is kind of funny because the Kitchis report is kind of what brought us into the industry. When we saw this, we said, hey, we can make this better. And so we went out and surveyed our advisors that were already on the platform. And they kind of came back and said, hey, this is all the time you're actually saving us. We're seeing a 45% reduction across the board. And the reason why I think it's kind of funny on the Kitchis side is that's kind of what brought Alan and over to GReminders, right? He was looking through that tech map and kind of saw GReminders. And I'll let him talk a little bit more about it too, is, Alan, when you were kind of reviewing the tech map, what kind of stood out around, your tech stack, and what were you missing in your workflows that your current tech wasn't doing?
Um, Good question. I'm really obsessed with fintech, and so I've spent way too much time on the Kitsis Tech Map. I spend way too much time on the integration partners website or page of our CRM, and we would look for tools to see if we could add value. And a lot of times, what we're doing is just adding more tools. And so now we've got fragmented data, we've got things that don't talk well to each other, and
Mhm.
we were just trying to get a lot of times I was trying to get the shiniest thing, and the shiniest thing wasn't always necessarily the best. And like for instance, I was using Calendly, really pretty, really easy, really simple, but it didn't do all the things we wanted it to do. And just stumbled across GReminder and thought, wow, this does a lot of the things that we want to do, and it's even gotten better since we first stumbled across it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because when we look at the meeting life cycle, we kind of look at it as a whole, right? So first step, reaching out to the client. Then from there, getting them onto your calendar, prepping for that meeting, taking notes in the meeting, and then telling your CRM all of what just happened, right? And what we see right now, like you said, it's fragmented. You have Calendly handles the bookings, but it doesn't get into Redtail. It doesn't get into the calendar in your CRM. So then what does? Well, then I have to do some custom coding, or I have to use Zapier. I bring Zapier up because, I know a lot of you guys are pretty tech savvy, right? So you can kind of like, well, I can use that. Well, this is where the fragmentation kind of begins, right? You have one thing launching workflows in another, and it's not always connected, and there's no ownership of it. All right. You are the one who owns the processes and you own the workflow. So when they break, you have to kind of figure out what's going on. And that's why I think with GReminders, it's a little bit better when it has one cohesive story, right? When we're from beginning to end, you're just using our product. But I do want to drill in a little bit more on the Calendly side of things, right? What are the real differences? And one question I'll ask you here, Alan, is when you were implementing GReminders, what were some of the big like workflow like light bulb moments or like the workflow changes that kind of happened?
Well, for starters, we could instead of just having, well, we could have different event types. So if someone wanted to self-schedule, they go on our website, and if they're a existing client, they get one workflow. If they're a prospective client, they get another. And so we could customize each of those. You know, if it's an existing client, it may just be when they're scheduling, it says, "Hey, what's on your mind?" When it's a potential client, now we've got a customized questionnaire that they've got to go through, and all that information gets transferred. We get an email first, you know, with, hey, someone's scheduled. Here's how they answered these questions. And it also goes over into our CRM. So everybody on the team gets to see it, you know, as soon as it happens. We didn't get
Mhm.
any of that with Calendly or some of the other scheduling tools. And so that in and of itself was just a game changer.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely can see that, and that kind of speaks to one of these big tiles here is native to the CRM, right? It's going to connect. It's going to be right into your tech stack. And another thing you mentioned is like all events, right? And Calendly, what it will do is it will say, hey, here's my booking link. I'm going to click the link. It's going to put whatever you choose into my calendar, and that's it. Well, with GReminders, it's everything, right? Anything that gets put into the calendar, we are going to see. We're going to help remind on, and we are also FINRA compliant on all aspects, right? So for the meeting prep, for the actual note taking, all of this is something that we offer that that Calendly doesn't really touch at all, right? So it's yes, Calendly is a great product. Yes, it's easy to use, but it is lacking in kind of the whole meeting life cycle, which is kind of what we see here is we have it all, right? So from beginning to end, we're going to be working closely with you guys and having a close relationship, more specifically with the CRM. And we connect with Redtail, as you're seeing here, Wealthbox, but it's kind of all of them, right? Smart Office, Salesforce, all the Salesforce overlays. I can kind of go on, but we try to work with anything that an advisor is using to kind of help make implementation easier, right? We don't want to have custom code for every client we bring on, right? So I want to take a step forward here, and I want to talk through the product in a little bit more detail. Now, the first step in the meeting lifecycle, or the way we kind of see it, is the initial reach out to the clients. Hey, time to book with us, time to meet again. And so I know, Alan, you don't necessarily have a lot of this automation right here that we're showing kind of set up in your system. But we will, I think there's like kind of the next slide, we'll go into more of the things that we're doing with you. But with this client automation here, we have the ability to go into your CRM, look at certain data points, say like, hey, they have tag groups for like quarterly reminders. Okay, so perfect. Let's use those tag groups and we'll take these 50 clients and we'll send an invite to them saying, hey, time to meet with your advisor. Same with birthday, anniversary wishes, and these can be emails or text messages. And this is something that can be automated. So even now, Alan's like, hey, this product's fantastic. And there's still more that we're adding because I don't even think this fully existed when you onboarded, Alan. So like we actually now, we go into the database now and do even more. So which is really cool to kind of have that whole life cycle managed. Now, when we get into the scheduling side of things, now calendar sync. What a phrase, right? Calendar sync. What we view when we say that is we are going to connect to all of the different systems that are out there. Redtail's calendar, which is huge because that calendar is tough. Outlook's calendar, the Gmail calendar. And the reason I include both those is because my company is actually a full G Suite company, but I use Outlook. So I have to use GReminders because I'm the problem. But nonetheless, we're syncing the calendars, right? And everything that I add is going to be directly put back into them. And I know, again, we talked a little bit, Alan, about how you use these scheduling links kind of in the daily practice. And you talked a little bit about event types. Can you go into some of the event types that you're using now that you weren't before and that kind of have potentially almost changed the practice a little bit?
Yeah, the two main ones we use are for existing clients that want to just self-schedule, and then the other would be for prospective clients. But we also, if we're doing surge meetings or seasonal planning, we could
Yeah.
have, let's say we want to send out this quarter, we're going to do tax planning. Next one, we're going to do estate planning. Next, we're going to do investments. And then the last, we're going to do insurance or whatever order you want. You can set up those event types and you can toggle them on or off so they're either visible or not,
Yeah.
depending on when you want them to be visible. And it just makes things so easy. And it's so, everything's so intuitive.
Yeah.
And just,
That's
you don't have to figure out a way to make it work. It just works.
Love that. Love that. And as far as the team structure is concerned, can you give us a little like insight on
Yeah,
how your team works?
there's three of us on our team, and we don't have our own silos. We all service the same book of clients,
Mhm.
and we try to have everyone in on each meeting. But if there's someone's not going to be on the meeting or can't make it, then they're getting an email of the meeting prep. They're getting an email of the summary, what was actually said, and then the tasks or the workflows that are generated from that. They may be some of those may be assigned to them, so it helps keep us on the same page instead of Alan met with them and he met with them for an hour and a half and he debriefed me for 30 seconds and told me what was said. That's not fair. And I the notes I take I can't read 5 seconds after I in the meeting. It's illegible, they're incomplete, and I would say, okay, I'm gonna send a summary out. Time would pass, and then when I finally got around to trying to understand my notes, I couldn't, and so I went the heck with it. I'll do it next time. And so this is just automated and easy, and everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. And that's great. And I couldn't agree more with you on the note side. Like this is my notes from our call. Like you can't read them. They're bad. But I kind of it's when you start to use Note Taker, it's almost freeing a little bit because now you don't necessarily have to take the best notes. You can just take the notes for you if you're still note taking, but you don't have to worry about the rest of your team, right? Because that's now being handled by GReminders. GReminders is saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you the best notes you've ever seen, and we're going to send those to your team. And if they miss that call, they're still going to have a really good base to know what happened."
I really don't take notes anymore, but I'll usually have a yellow pad and a pen in my hand
Just in
because it's
case.
kind of like when the server comes to your table and they're taking your order and they're not writing anything down. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to miss this, and so I want to make them think that I'm, okay, he's actually listening to me and jotting down some
Yeah.
notes. And then when they see the output of what our notes actually are,
Mhm.
it blows them away. You think we discovered fire.
That's awesome. Well, we will talk more about the note taker down the line because we're going to actually go into the product here in a little bit. But as far as this scheduling portion of it goes, I mean, you guys are seeing it here that we have the scheduling links, works in the team dynamic. And kind of the next thing is, oh, I forgot to put this in here. This is your site. A little shout out. But you can hit schedule call and that's going to go right to his booking link, right? And so, we try to make everything as seamless as possible. You probably, Alan, you probably have another schedule call in like your signature, and each one of these go to different event types and all that jazz. So, but yeah, I mean, you can embed the site, calendar's going to sync. And then kind of brings us to workflow automation, right? We're going to be launching workflows because we now know this is a new client that's booked a meeting with you, or this is an existing client that booked a meeting with you. So we know that data, so we can launch workflows. We can launch different types of automation opportunities, which I'll go more in depth on once we're talking about the note taker. But note taker aside, even just bookings, even just something coming in like a prospect, like Alan said, if a prospect signs up on the site, they went to his website just like we were looking at, and they click book a call, that could potentially launch opportunities. It can launch workflows. It can launch a number. It can create the contact. It could tell the contact this is a prospect, all that stuff.
And every team member can have their own links for
Mhm.
scheduling.
Yep, very true. So now getting into reminders. Now, reminders is one of those more basic concepts, right? You're getting a text message, right? You the GReminders looks at the calendar, it sees it has an event coming up, and you basically tell it, hey, I like to remind people a day before or the day of or 30 minutes before a Zoom meeting. Here's the Zoom link. So there's not a lot to it as far as complexity is concerned. But as far as reminders, I want to talk to Alan a little bit about the impact of it, right? We know that it's a good product to have because we all see our dentists and our doctor's offices using it. But as far from, your perspective, Alan, how do you think reminders and like no shows and things like that can kind of have played a role?
It's pretty much eliminated them at least the client doesn't forget that they booked something 3 weeks out, and now we're on the call waiting for them, and they completely forgot about it, and because we didn't remind them. So at best it's it makes sure they show up, and then the second best is they get a chance to reschedule it if it doesn't work for them.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That is great. All right. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to pivot a little bit. So everything we kind of just talked about was around the scheduling and the reminding part of the product, which is kind of our core solution. And now going forward here, this is going to be kind of more enter AI, right? Enter what AI can do for the firm, what can it do for the practice. And so this is the pre-meeting brief that I'm going to go into, which I'm sure Alan utilizes. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to go through Redtail, it's going to go through emails, and it's going to say, hey, what are the last bits of conversation that you've had? And so let's get this thing launched and running. And so you're going to get an email, and it's going to, like I said, go through everything that it has access to, and it's going to run through run through the data and say, hey, this is some of the stuff that you may be interested in knowing. And this is all templated, by the way. If you don't want conversation starters, then just tell us and it can be different, right? So all of this is just going to be completely customizable. But this is just, again, this is things that this advisor firm wants to know and see is more interested in. You have the ability to generate a deck, which is pretty neat because this kind of comes in and says, oh, hey, yes, this is your pre-meeting brief and this is all the things you're talking about, but here's another view. And this is actually something that just released, Alan, so you might not have actually seen this. I might be pulling a little surprise on you here. But this is something that we released recently. And what that does is it goes into putting everything out in a different format. Like, right, we can list everything out in text, or I'm actually gonna play again. I'm gonna pause it here. Or we can try to put it in a little bit easier to read format, right? So we'll have a lot of the portfolio information. We'll have obviously all of the notes, and in a year from now, you'll have all of the AI notes, which are going to be even more impactful. And so this is just going to get better and better as the firm grows and as more and more notes are being taken. But again, just kind of giving you guys an idea of what this looks like from a pre-meeting brief. Like, just this is what it could be to get you guys set up for the call. I've talked to multiple firms where they've looked at this and they said, I've just used this and it's good the way it is. And they just want to generate decks, and they're going to use those to talk through the financial plan, or they're going to use those to talk through whatever it is on their calls. So that's one of our newer features, but the pre-meeting brief is something that's been there for a little while now. And I'll kind of let Alan jump in and kind of talk a little bit about his experience with it. And it again, kind of gets emailed into you and shows you everything from your notes. And what's your kind of perspective on it, Alan?
Right. And we've got it set up to where I want to say it's like 5 days before a meeting, and you can adjust that. We'll get a pre-meeting brief, and ours looks through the last 10 communications we had them that are in our CRM or our email, and it summarizes what we discussed. And so now I'm not having to go, flip through our CRM and see, okay, what did we talk about? What I don't remember all this. And it's also looking at the meetings that have been summarized and seeing, what were the important parts of those meetings. And so now we don't have to do all that digging. It's automatic, and it pops up in our inbox whenever we ask it to. And then now we're ready for our meeting. And 100% of the time, I see something there and I go, oh man, I forgot about that. I'm glad it reminded me of this, because I completely forgot we talked about that. So you can't say enough good things about that part.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, and we try to take it one step further the best we can. So we have We even have the ability to do like almost like a chat GPT style functionality through the pre-meeting brief as well, which, you can kind of come in here and you can chat through it. And say, hey, real quick, let's summarize the assets. So let's say you get the pre-meeting brief, but you want to talk to the pre-meeting brief. That's kind of what this is, right? So if you want to take it one step further and say, hey, you know what? I need tasks scheduled. I need more data. That's what this is. And these schedules, tasks and things like that are just being created automatically inside of Redtail, right? So you're saying to do it, it's doing it. And it's not just uh, let me pause this for a second. It's not just the tasks and activities, but it's going one step further to documents, which you're seeing right here. And it's going saying, hey, can we pull up some of the information that's in Redtail documents or in my share file or in Box or whatever it is? And we can connect to those as well and pull some of these documents out to help you get to them quicker, as you're seeing here, which this is going to put us right into, what is this one? Is this Box? Nonetheless. But the that's the goal with the product of GReminders, right? So Alan is aware of the pre-meeting brief, but he's been a client with us for a while, and since we've added in that deck proposal, we've added in the ability to chat through it, we've added in document management, which is crazy. So all of that data that the pre-meeting brief is going to get is just going to get bigger, and it's going to get better, and it's just going to grow with the firm really well. Now, when we do get into the meeting, and this is when I'm going to kind of break away from the deck a little bit here, and we're going to go into GReminders. When we get into the meeting, we want to record it, right? And the best way to do that is to join automatically, right? And to read your calendar and say, hey, they have this Zoom link coming up. I'm going to join it. And it joins in and it will start transcribing everything that it's going through, right? So it's going to join Teams automatically, Zoom automatically, go to. And Alan, when we first joined this Zoom meeting, both of our note takers joined and we're like, you know what? Let's leave them in. Let's leave them in, and we'll send you guys what those notes look like at the end, and we'll send it part of our follow-up email. We'll give you these notes so you can actually see exactly what it looked like. But it joins automatically. Same with VoIP, and I'll actually let you talk about the VoIP integration to Intel, Alan.
That was one of the biggest things for us is and all of this kind of caught us by surprise. We were only expecting GReminders to be a scheduling app. And then one day, all of a sudden, an AI note taker popped up. Wow, look at this! And it's automated. It's beginning to end. And then they announced the integration with our phone. And if you're like us, a large amount of our client communications are not on the calendar. It's not a Zoom call. It's not a scheduled meeting. We answer the phone or we place a quick phone call. And in the old days, using some of the other competitors, AI note takers, we were going in and downloading our audio file from our phone system and then uploading it for processing to create a summary or a client email from our meeting notes. And it was just so many steps. And it invariably would get distracted. The phone would ring again and we wouldn't get it completed. Now, all of a sudden, it's integrated with our phone system. So every time the phone rings, we answer it. It's being recorded. It's being transcribed. It's being summarized. It's creating tasks. It's kicking off workflows if we want it to. That's been the biggest thing that we have liked out of a lot of things that we really like about GReminders is the seamless automation of capturing our communications and especially phone calls.
Yeah. Yeah. And those phone calls just go right into GReminders after you guys hang up, or what's that look like?
When probably 15 seconds after we hang up, we get an
Wow.
email and it's a summary of what was said. But also, if we click over to our inbox in Outlook, our draft folder in Outlook, there's already a summary email that's been teed up and is ready to go. And we can always edit it. But once you kind of customize it the way you want them to be spoken in your voice, then the less and less editing has to be done. But
Right.
it's so automatic. We hang up the phone. Okay, there's our notes, and there's an email to go out to the client. And a lot of times we don't send it out. We make them think that we had to actually work on it because we send out that summary just like that. We want to make them think we're doing a little work. But yeah, it's so easy, it's so automated, and so few clicks, so few steps that
Mhm.
it's really hard not to do it.
Yeah. No, I get that. And that's fantastic. And just one more question on that. That is literally just a phone call you're picking up, right? It's
Mhm.
not, that's awesome. And so,
Yeah, whether when and whether we're in the meeting personally, they walk in and unannounced, we can use the app on our phone to record, or a
yeah,
Zoom call, or any of the video platforms we can connect with, or there's a handful of phone services or phone providers that it'll automatically integrate with, so we don't have to worry about taking notes or oh, I got to hit record or something like that. It's being done automatically.
yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm glad you are using Intuos in order to use that. I mean, we don't work with every single VoIP provider, but we work with the big ones, right? Ring Central, Intuos has, been pushing themselves into, wealth space as well. So it's cool to see that all kind of coming together, working together too. Well, if you've noticed, I've moved my screen, or at least I hope I've moved my screen to GReminders. I want yeah, I did, right? Everyone sees GReminders, yeah. Yes. Alan, you see
Yeah.
that?
Yes,
And
yes.
Cool. Wonderful.
Chris and Alan, actually, right before you move on, there was a question that came through. If I don't have a VoP phone system, does GReminders have an Android app that can join phone calls?
We do have an Android app, and we do also have the Apple app as well. Yeah. Now it's an app though, so keep that in mind. So it's not going to automatically join phone calls, but it will be there on the app that you can download. So like if you're having a call and it's on speaker, you can launch the app and run that in the background. Another thing you can do is you can three-way the recorder in, right? That's why that's why the VoIP is so amazing because it's over internet, so we can easily connect to it and things like that, which makes it a little bit more powerful. But without it, you definitely can still three-way the note taker in, and the app does definitely do the trick.
I would actually suggest that it's actually worth the hassle of changing to a provider that integrates with GReminders, um, just to get that. It's so big. When we actually have changed phone providers to make sure that everything played together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I would echo that. Now, to talk a little bit about the note taker. So we've talked a lot about the reminding. We talked about scheduling and the calendars and the dynamics around, teams and all that fun stuff. Now, getting into the note taker itself. The note taker is essentially and Alan said this earlier, it just gets better as you use it, right? Because it needs to know what you expect from note taking, right? Because I can just go to it and say, hey, an advisor is going to be interested in primary objectives. They're going to be interested in financial goals, major life events, reasons for seeking financial advice. Maybe that's right. Maybe it's not, right? Maybe there's more. Maybe you want to know more about their personal life. Maybe you care about different aspects. And so the templates around these notes are completely customizable. And it can even go one step further. And let's say, for instance, you get a note that came in and you're like, you know what? I want to change the template around that. Make a new template and just regenerate it to the new template. So it's never going to just be gone, right? Anything that's transcribed and brought into, you can always have the AI agent kind of jump back in and be like, change it around if need be. And so it's kind of the same with the follow-up email, which Alan brought up with sitting into the drafts. But to slow down a little bit, the note taker itself, we'll give you everything that happened on this meeting. We also will send you guys an example of the note taker from this webinar. So his and I are actually joined already, like I said. So we'll send that to you guys. So you'll see something similar to this is what it should look like. And next steps with this are usually getting it into the CRM. And so what that would look like is you would hit this big button, edit summary, take that, and you're going to go through. And again, the reason why we say edit is because it's your name is being put on this, right? So you are putting this note into your CRM, and once it's in the CRM, it's not really modifiable. So this is your chance to kind of come in here and edit it before you're setting it and logging it into the CRM. So we're going to go through here, and I've spent ample time training this new AI agent, kind of almost like a bringing on an actual help or bringing on office staff. You can use this here. And this kind of goes through and gives you everything you wanted to see. Perfect. I don't want this. So we just take that out. And then we would log. update that, and that logs right into Redtail. I'll just click it. And that goes right into Redtail. That's done. So now if I wanted to jump and see that note, I would just click this button right here, and that would send me right into Redtail, where the note is, right into Roger's account. If I wanted to come over here and I wanted to then send an email or a follow-up email, Alan said that you can actually connect this where it's in your inbox or your outbox already or your drafts already. But if it's not, you can even come in here into it, right? And so this will go out from your email address to the client. And this is the just a quick little follow-up that we've kind of put together, or that AI through listening through the transcript, this is what it suggests for you to send out. So we'll take this, we'll send, that'll go out to the client. And then over to the right here, we'll look at some of the recommendations. It says, oh, hey, introductory meeting, let's launch that. Okay, perfect. Click that. It comes up with recommendations. And the recommendations are really, really unique because it's saying, hey, because of these opportunities, or because of the conversation that you had, I heard there was a $300,000 or an opportunity for a new house, right? Where does that sit for me? And so then you can kind of start looking through that, and you can potentially see what this may bring. And another thing that's cool here is it is to the point of quoting what was said, right? This is why I'm creating this opportunity. I'm quoting what was actually said by Roger Thornhill, which is unique. And when you do create this, it goes right into his account. It goes right tied to him and everything it needs to. And it's very similar with the tasks. Now, tasks can be, for multiple people in the office, or tasks can be just all for yourself, right? It's just assigned to fill across the board. Here's all the things that I need to be getting done before our next call. You can choose due dates. You can categorize these, and these are just going to hit Redtail instantly once you actually hit the create button. So essentially, on this page, you're doing the follow-up email, you're doing the note summary being sent over to Redtail, you're doing the workflow, opportunity, and task creation all on one screen.
I also think one of the nice things is it's analyzing who's doing the talking, and you can look back and say, am I talking way too much?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the
Yep.
client, I'm not letting the client talk enough.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look up here and you see 80% you, you're like, huh, okay, I should probably change this a little bit, which I have run into in personally in my past with it too. So, it's something you can start to kind of try to incorporate or bring in the investor a little bit more on getting to know them more and letting them give you an idea of their finances a little bit more and stuff like that too. But I will say, with note taking being a little less stressful, Alan, where do you think, or what's kind of your thoughts or your opinions around that now that you're not having to sit there and, fill up an entire piece of paper with notes?
Oh, I mean, it's huge because things don't fall through the cracks like they used to. I had
Hmm.
a dozen yellow pads on my desk and even more stuff in my head that I never got out and got into our CRM.
Yeah.
Eventually I'd probably just shred, the notes that I had in yellow pads because I'm not going to sit there and type it all in, or maybe upload it as a PDF. So that's not going to happen. So this automatically gets put in there. And for the note taker, let's say, we talked about Apple stock during our meeting, and I can't remember what was said. You can ask it, what did we say about Apple stock? And it'll go and find those, what the discussion was around Apple stock. And so we don't have to be perfect. We can ask it questions, and it's really cool on that. And you can customize your output. I want it to be more personal. I want it to be more formal. And so you can do all those things. And so it's one less thing we have to think about. And like I said earlier, our clients look forward to these review letters. And they always, when they call in and say, hey, I need you to send me some money. And it's okay. And it's, and many of them will say, yeah, I know you'll do it. And I know I'll get a confirmation of it. And so we sent out a confirmation of what was discussed in that quick phone call. Now they've got it for their records. It's a automated personal touch, which is
Yeah.
really cool. So
Yeah.
we love that.
Yeah, that is great. How long do you think that you kind of spent resources on getting the note taker templates into a place that you were happy with?
We've pretty much been happy with it out of the box.
Yeah.
and that may be, something we need to look into because we may want to personalize it more, but
Mhm.
and we've got the long versions, medium versions, and short versions. And so sometimes, you want the New York Times version. Sometimes you want the USA Today version.
Mhm.
And so, we try to customize it to our audience. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's super simple, super easy. And the when we and I don't have to understand how it all works. When I have a question, I need something customized. I just shoot an email over, and it's okay. Yeah, it's been done. Cool. All
Yeah.
right. Super easy as far as the follow up and the help.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that. And even with all of the customization that can be done, I'm glad out of the box, it's still giving you guys huge improvement, right? And that's great to see. I mean, because the customization kind of gets to the point of all the way down to events, right? Like, hey, I'm having my quarterly surge meetings. I want all my notes to look like this, right? And it can just know, the note taker can know, hey, based off this event, these are the type of notes that Alan likes to see, or these are the type of email follow-ups he likes to see for these calls. Same with like discovery, or same with, more planning calls and things like that, or just check-ins. These notes can be very different, right? Check-ins could just be, hey, here's a checkbox of everything we talked about. Done. That's out. And that again can just be automated to the point of I can see that this event type is such. So this is how I'm gonna treat it. But
Just like your phone's listening to you.
yeah.
This is kind of listening to you and learning from you on what you like, what your style is. And so
Mhm.
we've noticed it evolve over time because of the things we ask it or the things, how we edit them. And so they've gotten to be more and more similar based on our style.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. So let's jump back to the slide here. We do have a lot of questions in the note taker, which love to see, and I will get into those questions here in just a second. Let's just wrap up a few things here, and then we'll open up to Q&A. There's a lot of them though, so really appreciate you guys being engaged and asking questions there. But let me get this moved over back to the other screen here. Now, the note taker, when it does join, I will say that it will join with your branding, of course, labeled as how you want it to be labeled as. But let's skip through a few things here. Skip that. Now, what we were talking about on the template and the customization around it, everything that AI can touch can be templated and given more optimization for your specific firm. So do keep that in mind. I know we brought it up a few times, but it can be. Now, another thing that we do is we auto-complete activities. So kind of shifting gears a little bit, but we will auto-complete Redtail activities. So anyone who uses Redtail on a regular basis is probably rejoicing. It's amazing because the calendar can get very, very overwhelmed if you're not closing it. It can even actually slow Redtail down. I actually worked there for almost a decade, so it can even slow it down a little bit. So it's best that when we get in there, we close them and then we give you updates on, hey, this has been completed. Now, to kind of hit a conclusion of everything that we kind of talked about, we brought in a lot of Alan's, big key wins with the product, right? The text reminders and the fact that he's basically eliminated no-shows, accurate CRM notes, the smooth fit between Redtail and Intulse and that scheduling, the no custom work, plugged and played, basically doing less, serving more clients, right? One question I have for you, Alan, is has your practice grown since the adoption? And where's if it has, where's the kind of the attribution for it? Is it around being a little bit slicker on the meeting management side? Is it just due to more time kind of being freed up? Or have you taken that time and kind of more put it into personal matters and things like that?
I don't know if we're able to tell if we've grown because of it, but I think our client satisfaction has evolved and gotten better
Mhm. Mhm.
because more attention to detail, less things fall through the cracks. They get a summary and it shows, hey, they were listening. And clients invariably say the same thing we did when we were taking manual notes is, hey, I forgot we talked about that. And then, and so, when we talk 6 months later and we're referencing something that we talked about, 2 years ago, they know that we were paying attention, whether it's automated or manual. They like knowing that we're taking care of things. And so, as far as growth, I don't know, but I know our client satisfaction is gone up.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. That's great. Well, love to hear it. And I think at this point, what we'll do, I'll go through pricing a little bit, and then we'll open up for questions. Our pricing starts at $30 a month for just a seat. And I know again, a lot of people are just a one seat office, so we want to work with you guys the best we can. And so starts at 30. You can scan this QR code. It's going to be in the next few slides. To get started. We do a 2 week trial, and that's just going to, hey, connect everything, right? Connect my red tail, connect my calendars, see what it looks like. And we can do that almost instantly, right? Right when you get started with GReminders, we'll connect to the calendar. It's just username and password, really simple. Same with your Outlook, use your password. And then that gets everything connected, pulls all the data in, and the GReminders can start working. Now, do you have to fully implement us? No, but implement us on one event. Do reminders for one type of call, see what it looks like, see the feedback you get, and we can help kind of through that whole process for you. So again, getting started is pretty simple. You're going to scan this code and we'll run through kind of what the product looks like. This will give you guys a demo, more personalized demo where we can actually set up the product with you. But yeah, feel free to scan that. Again, just grab your phone, pretty simple, scan, and that'll take you right to the site to get you guys a demo set up and you guys can kind of learn more about the product itself for your own practice.
And if all someone wants to use it for is a scheduling tool, it's better than Calendly right out of the box. So, if that's all you want to use it for and not the note taker, which I think
Yep.
you'd be missing the boat if you're not using the note taking features. But if it's just the calendar, the scheduling tool, I think that's incredible in and of itself.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but I take a lot of calls and I have a lot of meetings and I actively use the GReminders note taker and it's completely changed the way that I handle meetings. Okay. I don't take coherent notes anymore because I don't have to, which is fantastic. And I just basically had to sit there and kind of be engaged, which is it's a lot better of an experience for even myself, let alone the people that I'm meeting with. So, well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I'm going to go through some of these questions. Like I said, we had a good amount, which love seeing. Let me pull these up here and I'll start kind of going through these here. Let's see. All right, so I have multiple questions asking us how we compare to some of the other note takers. It's funny, Alan. There's some questions that are specifically asking you, and some that are specifically asking me. So we'll just tackle this one together. The biggest differences between, I would say, something like Jump that's mentioned here, and Zox as well that's mentioned. The biggest differences between us is we are the scheduling and the reminding product and the note taker, right? A lot of these softwares are just a note taker that's trying to plug into things the best they can, where we are plugged into everything and now we're note taking on top of it, right? And that was kind of Alan's his view on it too, right? He's like, hey, I was using this for scheduling, saw the note taker. It's whoa, big win. So everyone will do things a little bit different, right? We'll take notes slightly differently. We have a transcription of everything, which we have found has been a really big game changer for a lot of like bigger organizations like Cambridge and Zake. They really like having transcription because then we can see everything that was said. So we're a little different. We try to build a product that's built for advising and all that fun stuff. But I'll let you kind of throw your 2 cents in here too, Helen.
Yeah, and we've tried Zox, FinMate, Pulse, Jump, Zoom, Otter,
Oh
and
wow.
they're all great. They're all great in their own way. And
Yeah.
but it's to your point, Chris. One of the things that separates GReminders is the kind of the end to end. It's the scheduling, the reminders, the note to the meeting prep, and the summary. And everybody's got a little bit something different that they do or add, but there's some great tools out there. But GReminders fills a very nice spot in our tech stack.
Mhm. That's fantastic. Yeah. Now I will say here too for the text reminders, we have another question. Is text reminders compliance issue with archiving? No, is the easiest way to say it because what we do with text messaging is, well, one, all of it's for the most part automated, right? Hey, you have a meeting coming up at this time, or here's a reminder, or here's your Zoom link, or whatever it is. So most of it's automated. So most of it's canned text messages. So we can easily just take those and they get journaled automatically into a compliance digest, which gets emailed to you every week or every month or whatever frequency you want. And that just goes through your general email archiving processes. So that's handled. Now the text messages that we're sending out via bulk, same story, right? We're archiving all of it, and so that's how it's kind of being approached. Everything's getting put back into email and archived, and we also do BCC archiving directly to Smarsh and to Orato or to Global Relay or whatever you're using. Let me see if there's anything else here. Okay, so there's a number of questions around the client data or the transcription. And so I'll answer this one too. Uh, what we do, and this is again customizable because again, that's how we know advisors just work differently per firm, right? And so it's going to be changed if need be, but basically, when a transcript comes in, so once a meeting finishes, it goes into GReminders and it sits into the UI. Once it's pushed into the CRM, it's no longer in GReminders because GReminders can no longer make changes, right? It's locked. Once you've sent it to your CRM, it is now in your system of record and it is out of our hands. We're no longer holding on to it. Now we can get rid of that transcript if you want to just delete it out. If you want to have it automatically deleted after 30 days or after a few months or after a year, whatever it is, you can put those parameters into place. But usually what we see is once you get the data into the CRM, it's not really necessary for you to worry about it being in GReminders because GReminders can't do anything with it after the fact, right? And we're hosted through Microsoft and through Azure, so like everything is going to be compliant and that factor.
There was one I saw about a solo practitioner. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
for a solo practitioner or a small practice, these types of tools are incredible because you don't have to juggle all the balls yourself. Now I can do scheduling. I can automate scheduling. I don't have to hire someone part time, or I've got to stay up here late doing all this. So I can get the clients coming in the front door, but I also take care of them while they're here, and then remind them how we helped them after they leave. So I think it's great for a solo practitioner or small practices.
awesome. And as far as the note taker, how do you introduce that into your clients? Kind of another question that came through.
Well, Texas is a one-party state where only one party of the two, or however many, needs to be aware that there's being a recording. We rarely set it, or we make a joke about it because there may be three note takers showing up in our meeting, one for me, one for Vic, one for Kyler, and we joke that there's more note takers in this meeting than there are people. But it's just know that your client or your prospect may be probably is recording this themselves. Zoom has a setting where it's recording these Zoom calls, so they may have better notes than you do if you're not recording or capturing this information. And if there's ever a dispute, the way I look at it, I had someone say, "I don't want there to be a record of this if there's ever a dispute." My response to that is, "Don't say something you shouldn't." And if you go to a dispute, the person with notes is going to beat the person without notes.
Yeah.
And so I would much rather have better notes than no notes or imperfect notes. And nothing's perfect, just say lesser notes. And so we really haven't had to say anything, or maybe we need to be saying something, but that's not something we've really spent any time on.
Yeah, I mean, when we start to talk about RAs, I mean, we trust you guys to understand the like Alan does, right? One person party in Texas. So, we trust you guys to kind of handle a lot of the compliance side. Now, when we work with broker dealers, which we do a number of them, you guys saw from our partner list, they like to have parameters, right? They like to have, hey, certain words need to be said in this meeting in order for it to be okay. And we can share this with you, right? So if you want to know what those all are, like, hey, we can give you speeches on how to bring up that there's a note taker in the call too. It just depends on where you're located, like Alan said, and then it also depends on like what you're comfortable with. One thing I will say again to echo is, having a full transcript of the meeting, if you're a fiduciary, which you legally are, is good for you, right? Because now you have everything that was said, you have all the recommendations that were being kind of made, and all of that is laid out. And on top of it, it's explained why, right? Hey, the client said these three things, and because of that, I made this opportunity or I made this recommendation, and it will lay those out for you guys. This will be the last question because we're getting at the top of the hour. Is there a way to just record the transcription and not the video or turn video settings off? Yes, 100%. Everything you saw on the product is you can pick and choose it out for the most part, and that's one of them. So yes, yes. But okay, I think that's going to wrap everything up. Alan, I again thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk about GReminders and to talk to the rest of the planning network, our XY planning network, to kind of go through the impact that it's making in your office. Truly, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both Chris and Alan for your time today. I mean, GReminders looks like a really amazing product, and as you can see, the Q&A section was blowing up. This is very good engagement. So, thank you all for joining us today and just listening in. Chris, if you don't mind, can you bring up that QR code just so that
Yes.
folks
Yes, I can.
can do that? Yeah. If you all are interested in GReminders, excuse me, then please feel free to scan this QR code, or if after the fact you forgot, then you can always visit GReminders to start a trial, request a demo. I'm
Mhm.
sure if you say, "Oh, I was watching the webinar hosted by XYPN," then they'll be able to assist you there as well.
Yep.
But yeah, you have the QR code there at your to do with what you will. And then if you are interested in joining XYPN, if you're not an XYPN member yet, but really want to see what is all in store for you as an XYPN member, then you're welcome to schedule a call with a teammate. I will drop our link in the chat. And then last but not least, if when you leave the session, there is going to be a feedback survey to fill out. We would really appreciate it if you do fill that out. We read all of them just to make sure that we're keeping in front of any topics that you want us to bring to you, or just yeah, see how everything is going. So we would appreciate that as well. And then, yeah, if you have any other questions, if we didn't get to your questions in the Q&A, then just reach out to GReminders and they'll be able to help. Alrighty. Well, Chris Allen, again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope that everybody has a good rest of your day and happy holiday season. Now we're officially in between two holidays.
We're there, yeah.
Gosh.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Jeez.
thanks. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Bye.